Almost broke my camera. Oh fuck. Hey there, it's Lykos and welcome back to my channel. I am back in my room filming. Got the lovely poster wall of the torsos in the background because I don't think you've ever actually seen torso up because I never film at that height. But yeah, I'm back in my room and this week's video is a bit more serious of a topic. I'm not gonna say there's not gonna be jokes. I'm probably gonna make really inappropriate jokes throughout this video at times where I shouldn't, or I'm probably gonna laugh in places I shouldn't. This week's video is trans related, and if you didn't know, if you don't follow me on Instagram or you don't know me personally, I'm transgender. If you're new to this channel, you won't have seen my testosterone videos, so yeah, if you've been here a while, you would know that. Yeah, I'm trans. I'm a female to male transgender, and I've been out and publicly identifying as a male for 2 years now. I came out in 2016, and yeah, it's been interesting to say the least since I came out. And I asked on Instagram what people wanted to see this week's trans related video be, and everyone wanted to hear my coming out story. This is gonna be my coming out story, I guess. I'm not gonna go into too much detail on personal things or naming too many names, because I don't see a point in pointing fingers and shit like that at the negative side of things, and that's mostly where I'm gonna be keeping things, you know, on a down low. I came out in 2016 to my parents and publicly, came out to a few of my friends at the end of 2015, I think it was. For a few years I'd been going by a different name other than my birth name, mostly just nicknames that were gender neutral, and I'd asked pretty much everyone I knew to just use non-specific pronouns, so they, them, shit like that. But it wasn't until 2015 where I was finally accepting the fact that I identified as male and started going by male pronouns. I think the biggest reason for that was I tried to deny it for so long. Anyone who knows me personally knows that there's been issues with gender and identity for me since a very young age, and I actually denied it to myself for years about who I was and why I was that way, and I don't think that helped at all. And I had to deal with a lot of mental stuff because of that, which I'll get into later. But yeah, it took me until 15 going on 16 to come out as trans, and I didn't come out in the best way possible to my parents. And this is where things get a bit serious and, you know, dark. I had been dealing with mental health for a while, leading up to me coming out. And that mental health issue was directly related to the discomfort of my own body and the general misgender issue I was getting on a daily. I was still in public school at this point as well, so I was still in a public high school in a very small town, and that wasn't helping at all. But I think it was like April maybe when I came out to my mum, and I came out to my mum in the middle of a mall on accident. Well, I wouldn't say on accident, but it wasn't planned. I had decided that it was time I either came out or didn't exist. And at that point in time, I wasn't prepared to come out, and so I decided I wouldn't exist. And that was mostly because if I couldn't be who I wanted to be, I didn't want to be around. And That's probably one of the lowest points I've been in my life. And we were in the mall having I think lunch, or maybe just afternoon tea, I don't know. It was 2 years ago. We were having something to eat at a cafe, and my mom started talking about buying clothes and stuff, but particularly feminine clothing, and I think that was just the breaking point for me. Was I've never dressed feminine. I've always worn gender neutral or predominantly masculine clothing. There was like a joke my nana made when I was at my aunt's wedding in like 2015 that I dressed like a boy, and she made a reference to being trans, and I was just like, oh my god, she knows. And my dad had sort of picked up on things for a while, and was making comments like, oh, do you want to be head girl? And when I'd say no, he'd be like, oh, what about head boy? And I'd be like, oh, they know. But it was never anything negative from them, and so I was mostly just not willing to admit it to myself, mostly. But yeah, my mom was talking about buying new clothes, and I basically told her that would be a good idea if I was her daughter, but I wasn't. And I think I almost scared my mum to death by saying that, because she was like, what do you mean? And so I then explained that I didn't feel like a female, and I've always felt like a male. So that's how I came out to my mum. We later... This is a funny story, actually. We came home, and my mum was like, we need to tell your dad. And I was like, yeah, probably, yeah. Kind of need to tell both parents if you live with both your parents, because at the time I did. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, you can tell them. I don't particularly want to say it again. I've already had to reveal it once. You can tell them. My mum just basically walked in, and my dad was reading on his tablet, and my mum told him, and my dad didn't even look up and was like, yeah, I saw that coming. And he was even able to predict my name choice, which was quite funny. And there's been a few people who've been able to predict the name choice based on things I've done in the past, and I thought that was quite funny, because a lot of the people didn't particularly realize until afterwards, and then they were like, that makes sense. And then we told some of my extended family, and there was this big, like, we couldn't tell all of my extended family because there was this big thing about how certain people in my family would take it, and so we did it one at a time, and then eventually we got one of my dad's sisters to tell my dad's parents, and truth be told, it didn't go well. It did not go well to begin with. There was a few issues there. All of those issues are practically gone now. They're changed, which I am very grateful for. I wouldn't say they're gone completely. There's probably always going to be a tiny bit there that there's going to be an issue. I'm not bothered by that. I don't mind. I just want people to at least use my name, and that's basically all I'm asking from people who generally have a negative mindset towards it. At least use my name. I came out publicly, and that's where even more issues started to occur. By this point, I'd left high school. I was homeschooled by this point because we weren't sure how my high school would react. Overall, all the teachers took it pretty well. Students, not so much. My friend group already knew. At least my main friends knew. There was a group of people who I was friends with who didn't know, didn't take it well, weren't okay with it. I did lose friends over it. Wasn't bothered by it though. Truth be told, if you're gonna have an issue with it, I don't want you in my life. They're clearly not worth having around if they're not gonna accept me for me. So Simple as that. Didn't bother me. But after I came out, there was, especially people I didn't know, this was what interested me the most. People I didn't even know, had never met, had started after I left, were having issues with me because of it. And I was just like, but why? I barely went out into my own town. I'd quite happily go into other towns. The city, perfectly fine. My town, however, was an issue because of how students had taken it at school. People I was once in the class with had said stuff against it, and overall it wasn't overall negative, but there was negative opinions of me. And I'm not someone who's always been well liked. I'm not gonna say I was heavily disliked, at least not in my school year. There were quite a few people who didn't like me, but I wouldn't say the overall didn't like me. But I think there was a mass majority issue with me being different appearance-wise, and then add on the fact that I am transgender and gay, that just, it rose, and there was this even more level of people who didn't like me now. And I'm not gonna say it was easy to deal with. It's not a nice feeling to go out into your town where you live and have gone to school in, and see people you were in school with, that you'd see around school, start yelling derogatory terms at you from across the street, based on something that really has nothing to do with them. I knew not everyone was going to be okay with it, but I just didn't see the point in why all these people were making it their business. Yes, I'd publicly come out in a small area, people were gonna find out, it was gonna be talked about. But why so many people had an issue with, I'm just like, clearly you have very, very little to do in your life, where you're gonna sit and make my life your business, purely because you don't agree with it. Like, you have way too much free time. Like I said, I'm not gonna name names, and I'm not gonna jump into details on what went on there. But overall, my coming out was a very mixed response. There was people who didn't like me for it, and then there was people who I didn't think liked me to begin with, were just like, hi, I think what you've done is really cool and brave. And I'm just like, lol, I wouldn't call it brave, I'm just trying to be myself, like, what's the big deal? I have since been told that people have seen the change in me. From when I was in high school to now, people have been like, I didn't think I'd ever see you smile this much, or laugh this much, or be this happy and comfortable with yourself. And it's a nice feeling to be told that people are noticing a change in you for the positive, because you've acknowledged something in your own life that wasn't working. And I have to agree with it. This wasn't very entertaining, I know, but just quickly before I end the video, because I don't want to go into too much more detail of it, because I think I've expressed the main part of it, the reactions from the people that mattered, and dealing with people not liking it. I just quickly want to talk about the company I work with, because I said I would. If you didn't know, I work and promote for a company called The Discriminant, and they are an LGBT friendly company who sell gender neutral clothing and transitional gear, and overall just some really, really cool clothes. They sell pride gear, they sell gender neutral clothing, and they put everything under gender neutral labels, so you can buy anything under a gender neutral label to make you feel more comfortable, or to make it seem more in your identity, but still being able to wear whatever you want. And I will put some pictures up now of some of the stuff they sell. If you use the discount code if you use the link in the description with my discount code, that is another social reject, you'll get 15% off your entire order. And if you use the link below, it should direct you straight to the website, and my code should already be in the checkout area when you go there, so you shouldn't have to put it in. And if there's another offer going on, I'll leave the link to their Instagram page and their Facebook page below as well, so you can check out their deals. And if there's a deal going on that you think is better than the 15% off, if you go via my link, it'll still credit me, and that one helps me out a lot, and actually helps me with stuff. Like, yes, it's paid, I do get paid for it, but that's not why I do it. I do it so you guys can get stuff off, to help people get transitional gear for cheaper prices, and just so people can feel more comfortable in buying clothing. It's overall a pretty decent website, and yeah, if you want to check them out, I'll leave a link in the description. My discount code will be down there as well if you do want to buy stuff. This is not a paid promotion, I'm not paid to talk about it, I just thought I'd mention it because it's relevant. But if you do use my discount code below, it does help me out a lot. Yeah, I think that's all for this week's video. Thank God it's not going to be anywhere near as long as last week's video. I think that was way too long. If you actually watched all of that video, well done you. I didn't think anyone would. But yeah, if you like this video, leave a like and a comment on what you want my next video to be. I'll put all my social media links in the description box below, as well as the discount code, and yeah, I think that's about it. Stay you, stay awesome, and never be afraid to be yourself. Bye.